Let's take a look at some advanced deployment scenarios and use cluster info to demonstrate what's going on behind the scenes. So before we start this demo, let's go ahead and change some settings here. We're going to turn on info panels because we're going to look at the details of deployments as they are in progress. And then we're also going to look at tooltips to get a better explanation of some of the terms that Kubernetes uses in its deployment objects. So let's go ahead and go to deployments and create initial deployment. As we can see here, the initial deployment is created, and these settings were not created in the YAML, so the defaults are in there. We're going to take a look at some of these settings. The default deployment strategy is a rolling update as opposed to recreate. Max surge is the number of additional pods that can be created past the desired pods of 6 during a deployment process. And we're going to actually see that. Max unavailable is the number of pods that can be unavailable at any given time. So in this deployment we have 6, and 25% of 6 is a little bit less than 2, so it's really just going to be 1. We can also set these values to integers rather than just percentages. And then the first one we're going to look at is going to be min ready seconds, and we'll see that min ready seconds represents the amount of time that new pods are expected to be ready before their predecessors are deleted. So let's go ahead and do first let's do a simple upgrade to this deployment with all the defaults in place. And as you can see, new pods are very quickly created. You could barely see when the transition occurs. As soon as the new pods are created, the old pods are terminated, right? But if you have workloads that require the pods to take a little time to get ready, you may want to use min ready seconds to give them that time. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, we're going to set the min ready seconds to 15 seconds. So now you could see that the new set of pods is given 15 seconds to change to a ready state before the old ones are terminated. And notice that 25% can be surged at any given time, and you can also have some additional replicas above and beyond the desired one, so that you can have additional pods during that process. Okay, so now all of them have met the 15-second ready requirement, and now the old pods have been deleted. So now let's change the to integer values so they're easier to look at. So in this case, we have, again, rather than a percentage, we have max unavailable 1 and then max surge 1. So notice that only 1 is unavailable at any given time, and then max ready replicas can be 1 more than the desired replicas, so that you can control the speed and the dependability of the new deployment. Again, these are meant to wait for 20 seconds before their predecessors are deleted. And if you look at the service during the deployment, the service is servicing both sets of deployment, both the new one and the old one, so that you can effectively have a canary deployment during a rolling update, where some users are going to still see your old deployment, and then some users are going to see your new deployment up until all of your new deployments are ready, and then your old deployments are properly terminated. Okay, so now let's go back to deployments and take a look at changing the current deployment strategy to recreate. And when we do that, none of these values apply, because all of these have to be deleted before the new ones are created. So none of these 3 values are applicable anymore. So when we look at that, you could see all those are reset to null, and the old workload is deleted as quickly as possible, and as soon as it's all gone, completely gone, then and only then the new revision is deployed. It makes sure that the transition is complete. Now, in a production environment, this could be a very dangerous situation, especially when the new deployment is invalid. Because if the new deployment is invalid and all your older replicas have been deleted, now you have an application that's down. So this is a situation where you either set the min ready value to something other than 0, which is its default, or you use something like a blue-green deployment where you bring up the new deployment, make sure that all the replicas are functioning correctly before you switch the service. And we have another demo in the set that demonstrates how to use a blue-green deployment with Kubernetes. So these are just some of the features that are available in deployment objects that allow you to have better control over a deployment rather than just a simple, replace the old with the new without any kind of control. And as you can see, we can also set the number of old history versions back down to a different number other than the default of 10. So if you're not doing rollbacks within Kubernetes, if you're doing rollbacks within a DevOps process, then there's no reason to maintain multiple versions of old replica sets.